This is Sam Prue from Who Would Win Masters. We've opened new official channels and we want you there. Follow Who Would Win Masters on Instagram and subscribe to youtube.com/@WhoWouldWinMasters. And on YouTube, click the Visit Community button to leave your 1v1 battle challenges. Leave a comment and you might just hear it read on the show. Be a part of the arena, be a part of the debate. Now let's dive in.
IPVanish protects every device you own. Your phone, your laptop, your smart TV. If it connects to the internet, it should be protected. IPVanish encrypts your connection and masks your IP address, helping keep your browsing private at home and on public Wi-Fi. And with no device limits, one account covers everything. Stream with added privacy, browse securely, connect with confidence. Online protection made simple. Right now, save 83% off the 2-year plan. Get started today at ipvanish.com/audio and take control of your privacy with IPVanish.
A windy road cuts through treacherous terrain. Wind skims the surface as a car cuts through like a bullet. The engine snaps to life at high precision, almost surgical. Another ignition answers, speeding straight toward the other. Raw torque growls as it advances. This one doesn't twitch. It waits, solid, unshaken, like it already knows how this ends. One fights like every second counts. The other fights like nothing can stop him. No countdown, no finish line. Precision meets power, instinct meets loyalty. This week, the boy behind the Mach 5 Speed Racer versus the man who drives for family, Dominic Toretto. Let's hit the ground running, folks. Tonight we rev our engines and enter a battle that's sure to lap everything we've done before. Welcome back to another matchup from Who Would Win Masters. I am Sam Proof on all the socials. And in this episode, representing Tatsunoko Productions, here he comes, the Demon on Wheels, master of the Mach 5. He's fast as he's very, very fast. It's Speed Racer. And he is chasing after someone. Representing Universal Pictures, the criminal turned world saver. He got 25 to life for going 0 to 60, and he'll Tokyo drift into your heart. It's Dom Toretto. Our guest tonight is none other than actor, director, voiceover master, host of the podcast All Over Voiceover with Kif VH. It's Kif Vandenhovel. Kif, how you doing? Anything in the works you can talk about?
Oh man, Sam, thank you so much for having me. I'm just excited to square off against Ray in this battle of speed and fury. What can I talk about? Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that came out earlier this year that is near and dear to my heart, and it's so good, is Splinter Cell Death Watch on Netflix.
Nice.
I play Douglas Shetland on the show along with some various characters. Man, it's a terrific show. And I'm also in the English dub of Detective Hola on Netflix right now. If you watch Detective Hola on Netflix, fantastic show. If you watch it in the original Swedish, you'll enjoy it. But if you watch it in English, Joel Kinnaman and a lot of the original cast are doing their own English dub, including Peter Stormare. Cool. And but I'm playing the chief of police on that show. So that's some stuff I can talk about. Everything else, I got to wait until later this year or even later. But,
of course. All right. Now you are repping Speed Racer. Why did you pick this character?
Yeah. Speed Racer might be the first thing outside of Prince Planet that I remember watching on television when I was a kid. Speed is one of my favorite characters of all time. Took my daughter to see the movie recently at Vidiot's. She wrote an essay about the Wachowski picture that ended up getting her accepted into college. Speed Racer it's just been part of my life for as long as I can remember. And I'm just really excited to be reacquainted with all things surrounding the Racer family. And so when I reached out to Ray and we reconnected and he asked, hey, do you want to do this? Who would you want to rep? I was like, man, if there's room to bring Racer Motors into this conversation, I put my hand up, man. Let's do this thing. So we'll see. I'm going to do my best to give Speed the representation he deserves.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, Speed Racer was a big part of my childhood as well. And now it is time for the Tale of the Tape. Tonight's Tale of the Tape is brought to you by Boomer Comic Strips on social media. Anyone can go online with their hot takes about life, but it takes a real one to post Boomer Comic Strips. Have you noticed that people are on their phones a lot these days? Boomer Comic Strips have as well. Want to pretend that the next generation, the new generations, don't know what books are? Boomer Comic Strips have you covered. If you spent the last 40 plus years making sure that community third spaces are hostile to younger folks, why not add that cherry on top by posting Boomer Comic Strips about how those same younger folks just don't want to go outside anymore? Boomer Comic Strips. I'm sure your weird aunt will like it. All right. Today's battle is a little bit more expanded than our usual fare, so let's break down the basics. Speed Racer, or Mach Go Go Go, as he's known in Japan, is a professional race car driver who also finds time to battle evil, as you do, during many of his races. Speed Racer has been an anime, a manga, and most notably in the West, had a major motion picture that, while panned when it came out, has had a resurgence in popularity in recent years. Speed Racer was created by Tatsuo Yoshida and first appeared in manga in 1966 and on television 1967. On the other side, we have one of the biggest box office streetcar racers of all time in Dominic Toretto, starting out in his first movie as just a low-level street criminal who boosts truckloads of DVD players. Dom has since moved on to greater and greater heights, having now saved the world multiple times, defeated nuclear submarines, stopped international terrorists, and even helped launch some of his crew into space, all at a quarter mile at a time. Dom was created by Gary Scott Thompson, played brilliantly by Vin Diesel, and debuted in the movie The Fast and the Furious in 2001. I will add, both combatants and their vehicles will be part of this debate today. But it's not about who wins the race, it's about who would win in a battle. All right, Kif, I have delayed this as long as possible, and it is finally time to introduce your opponent for today's battle, another Michigan man. Your opponent today has been known to eat thunder and crap lightning, which is why his plumbing bills are very, very high, extraordinarily high. It's Ray Stakenas. Ray, I know you're a huge Fast and Furious fan. You've talked about it on the podcast before. You must be extremely excited for today's battle.
I am thrilled to be a part of this battle today, Mr. Samuel Proof. I have a pretty good track record in these Who Would Win battles with Fast and Furious characters. I believe I'm 2-1 so far, and I probably should be 3-0. And I'm not prepared to lose today to another anime character. Some of you sit out there and say, gosh, Ray, why don't we get more anime characters on the Who Would Win show? Well, guess what? This week, we have an anime character on the Who Would Win Masters show. Kif, it is always a joy to see you. It is always a thrill and a surprise sometimes to look at the closing credits of literally any movie and every movie and see your name in there. A lot of people wouldn't know this, but I worked with Kif back in Second City, Detroit, as he was my teacher,
Nice.
Maybe my first teacher of improv, or my second, definitely early on in the Ray process of life. Wow, what happened? Here we are today. And then as I moved to Los Angeles years and years and years later, we lost contact. And then I played one of my absolute favorite all-time video games, The Evil Within. And whose name did I see in the closing credits? Someone who I had not, thought about for a while, Kif Vandenheuvel. And I immediately said, I need to touch base again. That's amazing. That's phenomenal. And all props to you, Kif. I feel terrible about what I have to do to you in this battle today.
I feel terrible about what you have to do to me too, Ray. And like when you said your favorite video game of all time, and then you said The Evil Within, it just spoke volumes to me. I was expecting you to say BioShock Infinite, and I'm thrilled that you love The Evil Within. That game deserves all the love. I played Martin in that game, like in the very beginning of that game, and it's such a man. Is it gripping? Just a terrific man. That was an early win, that game, and the real win of that game was that it reconnected us, my friend.
That's
it's great
right.
to be able to sit across the proverbial arm wrestling table, turn our baseball caps backwards, lock arms, and pretend that we're Stallone and somebody else.
Stallone and other muscle guy.
That's right. To see who can go over the top in this, as I mash up these references with. And it has nothing to do with either Fast and Furious or Speed Racer. But by God, there we are.
All right, well, strap in because it is time for the rules in under 1 minute. Here are your rules for Who Would Win Masters in 1 minute. Number 1, there will be 3 timed rounds with counterpoints allowed. Number 2, characters will have no prior knowledge of their opponent and no outside interference will be allowed. Number 3, keep the characters in character. Outliers and crossovers will be given less weight. Number 4, battles can be won by death, knockout, battlefield removal, or incapacitation. And number 5, after the battle, I will give my unofficial opinion as to who wins and why. However, I am just one voice. It will be up to all of you on our social media and our Patreon to make your voices heard as to who won. Kiff is our guest. You will start us off. It's time to take the training wheels off. 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
To start things off, I want to define the scope of my Speed Racer. There have been multiple versions of Speed Racer. What I'm focusing on is the OG series as I met him, 1970, when it was airing in black and white as I saw it in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I want to start on my first point is on Speed Racer, the man himself. He is defined by his courage, by his integrity, and by his devotion to racing. Speed truly loves it, and passion is one of the driving forces behind it, and is the one place that he feels completely himself is behind the wheel. He is an earnest and optimistic young man. He is emotionally open, and he has a great heart and drive to do good in the world. He also possesses tactical intelligence. This is really important. He can read a terrain incredibly fast. He can anticipate sabotage and traps. He can make quick decisions under extreme pressure and extreme speeds, sometimes exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. He understands the systems of the vehicle that he is driving well enough to improvise not only repairs, but also read the road and anticipate those moves as necessary. Personally, he's exceptionally athletic. He has a black belt in judo, as well as having exceptional hand-to-hand combat skills. He is incredibly fast and very agile, strong enough to hold his own against older adult opponents. He can jump from his car to a motorcycle, to another motorcycle, choke out that guy to another motorcycle, to a boat, and back into his car without losing position in a race. He is an action hero with a racer's body instead of a superhero's body. That's really important in comparison to Vin Diesel's Dominic Toretto. He has a very high emotional intelligence as well. He's very good at reading people. He is quick to trust, but he is not naive or anybody's fool. And it is these characteristics that help him form such strong bonds with his support system. And that's why it's important that we consider his surrounding family and support system, in particular his relationship to Trixie and to Inspector Detector and Racer X. Let's talk about Speed's driving ability. He has instinct, and that runs in the family when you look at Racer X, who is in secret Rex Racer, his brother.
30 seconds remaining.
He also has extensive training, although Pops never thinks he has enough, so he's always improving himself. He is fearless. He's not the fastest driver because he's reckless. It is because he is focused. He has unshakable concentration. His relationship is the strength with everyone around him. He is not defined. Well, let me tell you this. He is a hero without cynicism. He is someone who believes he's doing the right thing, even in a corrupt and broken world. And he is not defined by the Mach 5. The Mach 5 is defined by him.
All right, Ray, you got some catching up to do. 3 minutes on the clock for Dom. starting now.
You are not trying to say family is a bonus for Speed Racer against Dominic Toretto, the man who literally created the word family, I believe. Look, Dominic Toretto, and I'm going to talk about car and driving here as well, because I think that's an important place to start, is because Dominic Toretto is the single greatest driver in history, in the history of literature. No one drives better than Dominic Toretto. He regularly, in street races and more, defeats all the other drivers in the Fast and Furious franchise. And every single one of them in their own right is a legendary driver on a level of a speed racer. And Dominic Toretto stands above them all. Does Dom's car have flat tires? That's not a problem. He will not lose control, even if he's doing 120 on rims. He maintained control when he was pushed through a divider on a highway and into oncoming traffic. He did not panic. He immediately figured out what to do. And I feel like Speed Racer and Dom Toretto are cut from the same cloth. I'm so glad you talked about the identifying a situation and taking advantage of it as quick as possible. We'll get into that in just a second, because this is a guy whose car was on fire and it was only a mild hassle. In fact, he had to spin his car while he was driving to avoid getting hit with the flames that were jetting out of the car. He gets slammed into by larger vehicles quite often, and he backs off of it without stress. That includes one time when he got rammed into by a nuclear submarine that was cratering through the ice. This man drove down the side of a dam while it was exploding to avoid two semi-trucks who were trying to ram him from either side, and he did it with his kid in the car. Oh, a kid in the car. Look, he's so smart that he can predict physics. He can predict physics that don't even exist. He can predict physics that he makes up on the spot and then makes it work for him. This is a guy who routinely will slam his car into obstacles, items, things. There was like a giant rolling Indiana Jones ball at one point in one of the recent movies, and he will slam his car to create chain reactions to save pedestrians from getting killed around all of his exploits. And he just understands intrinsically how that works and how to do it. Lest we forget in Fast 9, when he jumped over a gorge by driving towards a collapsed bridge, getting a piece of like cable stuck on his wheel treads or something, flying, and then slingshots himself across the gorge to get through. Should it work? No. But this man is brilliant. This is one of the smartest men ever. Look, he tethered two flaming helicopters and spun his car to swing them into his enemies in front of him, destroying him. He jumped from one Dubai tower to another twice. Luke Hobbs told his crew of people, don't let Dom get near a car because we will not win if he does.
All right, Kiff, you get a counterpoint. 60 seconds on the clock starting now.
First of all, to come at me about family, saying that Dom initiated family or started it when Speed Racer literally 50 years before Fast and the Furious was talking about Pops, Trixie, Mom, Spritel, Chim Chim. Family has always been part of the Racer family. They coined the phrase before Dominic Toretto was born. So please don't even try. No one is smarter than Dominic Toretto. That's impossible. For him to predict physics, my physics teacher could predict physics because physics is a science. Dominic Toretto understands physics, sure, but who doesn't? That's not qualification to beat Speed Racer. Also, this was a concession for him to say that Dom and Speed were cut from the same cloth. Thank you for that. Yes, Speed Racer also is constantly spinning just because he's spun next to a submarine. Speed is always spinning against everybody else when he's in massive races. Just because he got down an exploding dam, that's great. Speed Racer saved Skullduggery from a volcano. He was driving through lava.
All right, this is an impressive start. Now we'll have to see where it all accelerates to, from jumping over all of these things to jumping to things and back to cars. Let's see where we jump to after this break.
IPVanish protects every device you own. your phone, your laptop, your smart TV, if it connects to the internet, it should be protected. IPVanish encrypts your connection and masks your IP address, helping keep your browsing private at home and on public Wi-Fi. And with no device limits, one account covers everything. Stream with added privacy, browse securely, connect with confidence. Online protection made simple. Right now, save 83% off the 2-year plan. Get started today at ipvanish.com/audio and take control of your privacy with IPVanish.
All right, welcome back. Let's get straight into point number 2. Put your helmets on. Kiff, 3 minutes on the clock. Starting now.
Let's talk about the Mach 5. This is what everyone is waiting for, and it's the most important, is the most powerful, and the most amazing race car in the entire world. It is said in the very first episode, and therefore it is true. Now, when you look at the race car itself, it has the GOY V12 engine. It's capable of well over 300 kilometers per hour. It has a manual transmission. It is the most complex and ingenious car ever built. It was built by Pops Racer on his own, employing his highly sought genius, imagination, and his technical skill. The Mach 5 is so sought after that Pop's new designs for it and his improvements had to be drawn on invisible ink on a glass windshield to keep it hidden from thugs who worked at his former employer who wanted to steal the plans to try to improve their own things. When Pops was actually fired from that he quit his previous employer because they wanted to sabotage his designs. Let's talk for a moment now about the car. One of the unique things about the Mach 5, along with its speed and its innovation, is its unique wheel. And it has 7 buttons on the center console that allow it to do extraordinary things. Inside the comics, or in the manga, it's not called Car-Fu. That was something that was referred to by the Wachowskis in the film. However, the Car-Fu is absolutely what happens. When Speed presses the A button, it activates the 4 jump jacks that not only allow the car to lift up on its own, that allows Sparky, the tech, to be able to make quick adjustments, but also allows the Mach 5 to jump out of danger, out of obstacles, and do incredible moves in combat during races. Button B deploys grip services on all 4 tires that allow the Mach 5 to handle any kind of terrain all at the same time. When that happens, an extra 5,000 horsepower is distributed equally to each wheel by an additional engine to give extra strength and stability on said surfaces. So if he's going up, down, through a volcano, he can activate those surfaces and be able to process it. C, pushing the button C deploys
30 seconds remaining.
36-inch diameter rotary saws that will cut in front of the Mach 5, clearing anything in its path, giving Speed both defensive and offensive edge from behind. D releases a powerful deflector shield that closes on top of the cockpit, providing a bullet and crash-proof chamber that protects him. E is the special high-beam highlights called the Evening Eye that give him the ability to see in the dark. F allows underwater activations which flood the chamber with oxygen and deploys a periscope so Speed can not only see through his windshield but watch things on a little screen. And finally, G releases a homing robot in front of the car. It's shaped like a falcon which can send messages and pictures to whoever needs to have those messages.
All right.
I relent.
I didn't think he'd get there. Whew. You did it. You got all the buttons in. All right.
Ray,
much
time like
to push
a great
your
racer,
buttons.
he sped right through that red light.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop. We didn't include brakes on the Mach 5.
That's fair. That's a very fair point.
The parking arm is coming down. Ray, 3 minutes on the clock. Starting now.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about some of the physicals because this is a battle that goes beyond just the cars themselves. Although, let's start by talking about the cars. You talk about your 300 kilometers per hour. That translates in America to about 186.411 miles per hour. That's very impressive for a grandma. But in more recent movies, let's face it, Dom Toretto's blowing that out of the water. In his original movie, 1970 Dodge Charger RT with the NOS, allowed him to go up to 150 miles per hour or more. But his most recent movies, Fast and Furious 8, The Fate of the Furious, he drove a 1971 Plymouth GTX, getting him up to a 269 miles per hour. And in Fast 9, 1968 Dodge Charger RT, I don't know why I can't say Dodge all of a sudden, 257 miles per hour. That makes Speed Racer look like Slow Racer as far as I'm concerned. But let's talk about their physicality. I appreciate you saying when Speed jumped to the motorcycle, choked the guy out, and I remember that episode, and it was wonderful. But let's face facts. In a fist fight, which is probably where we're headed at some point, Dom Toretto would clean Speed Racer's clock. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's got a more fighting experience. Speed Racer's just a kid, and at the end of the day, he's there to race, and he'll fight if he has to. Dom is, I'll fight you first, and then I'll race afterwards. He can obviously fight. He blocked a crowbar strike with his forearm on a train once. He smashed a concrete light pole by hitting it with a wrench. Flipped over a car with one hand. Heck, I saw him beat down Jason Statham, including an uppercut, which sent him roughly 10 to 15 feet backwards through the air. Luke Hobbs, The Rock, had a device, and he was trying to yank the door off of Dom Toretto's car. So Dom just leans with his elbow and pops the door of the car right off of its hinges and flings it towards Luke Hobbs. What ridiculous strength are we talking about? He threatened to drop an engine on a guy in an interrogation scene, and then when it was falling, he just reached out and grabbed a chain to stop it mid-fall like it was nothing. He ripped off handcuffs when he was putting them. Luke Hobbs, The Rock, the WWE champion, put him in an arm bar on the hood of a car, and he just pushed up and he powered himself right out of it. You do that to The Rock in a movie? That is absurd. You do it in real life? Less absurd. In a movie, that's ridiculous, though. Look. He got hit in the back with a crowbar, just casually turned and punched the guy in the face, dropping him. He jumped off a third-story window to chase John Cena, and he grabbed the back rail of a tour bus and just rode it, dropping 3 stories. He got shot in the shoulder, barely reacted, later pulled out the bullet himself, and that's not to mention all the car wrecks. He just walks away from unscathed. At any given time, there'll be a little, dot of blood on his temple, and that's all you're going to see. By the way, he might also have a gun. Just saying.
All right, Kiff, time for your counterpoint number 2. 60 seconds on the clock, starting now.
Does Dom have enough NOS to be able to do a marathon, or is it just for sprinting? How long can you sustain 257 miles an hour before your axles fall off? I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, Speed Racer is going to be able to sustain a much longer tempo. That's great that Dom is able to punch a button and be able to speed up. I'm sorry. I'm glad that Dom is strong. Yes, without a doubt. No doubt that Dom is strong, but his strength versus Speed Racer's black belt in judo, just because he can throw a punch, Speed can still deflect, bounce, and protect himself. He has the skills to be able to know how to fight and it'll be a great fight, but he knows how to fight. Just because, I'm sorry, I'm confused. Is he fighting Luke Hobbs or is he fighting The Rock? Is there a stunt coordinator involved? Is he fighting John Cena or is he fighting the character John Cena plays? And at what point, which is it, Ray? You can't have it both ways. If The Rock is involved, finally Speed Racer doesn't bleed. He just gets scratches.
All right, it's time
I'm
to
not
put the brakes
convinced
on
it's
point
Dom
number
Toretto's
2.
own blood, just for the record.
Dom Toretto's own blood.
It's just found blood on the ground.
This might be
He's
my
like,
favorite battle of all time. I'm calling it right now. This is delightful.
Okay. We'll be back after this break. We're entering our third and final lap in this debate. It is time for Kiff to rev the engine up for point number 3. 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
Al. I found. You know, Ray, we talked earlier about how important Speed Racer's constitution is, what a good man he is, and how he uses his goodness combined with his extraordinary skill as a driver to defeat not only his opponents on the racetrack in regular races, but to make the world a better place by stopping criminal racers and saboteurs. Some of these characters include Skullduggery and Ace Ducey and a variety of different gangs who try to sabotage the Mach 5 or steal Pop's plans. And those are just personal ones. And he defeats them, obviously, by defeating them in races and using his gadgets and whatnot. But he also is able to stop them by outsmarting their traps, jumping out of his car, fisticuffs, and that sort of thing, and surviving these sabotage attempts and getting them arrested and turning them over to Inspector Detector, who takes them away. Then there was the fight against the Mammoth Car Crew, who had a bunch of illegal tactics, and they were ripping up all the other legitimate racers in the race, and Speed was able to stop those guys, expose the fact that they were smuggling gold inside their car, and he outmaneuvered a massive vehicle until it was destroyed, using his extraordinary driving ability and his ability to stop them in their tracks. His awareness of what the Mammoth Car Crew did was legendary, and people are still talking about it today. The Masked Racer, of course, being Racer X, when he was truly trying to understand and outbeat him, Speed was trying to define his own racing ability and get better. Pops kept saying, "You're not ready for professional racing. You're not able to be the best racer you can be." And again, he wants to prove himself not just to Pops and to be able to make enough money to help the family, but he wanted to become the greatest racer there was. So he actively sought out Racer X to outbeat him, to race him faster and faster, and would go into these incredibly dangerous roads and horrible conditions, rain and snow and sleet, and navigate that to improve himself. That's the kind of player he is. He's like Kobe Bryant, where go and work out, first man in, last man out. Speed would go up against the car acrobatic team in the most dangerous race, and they were doing car flips and that kind of thing, and by using his jump jacks and by using the blades, he was able to outdrive their coordinated attacks and win a multi-stage
30
race
seconds remaining.
Regardless of their sabotage, and be able to stop them and show that good will always triumph over evil. And that's how Speed Racer wins, by using his skill, his moxie, and his ability to stop bad guys in their tracks with outstanding driving.
Ray, it's time for your third and final point. 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
And I appreciate, first off, smuggling gold in a race car doesn't seem like a very smart thing. Gold is actually very heavy and would probably not be ideal. Bad job, thugs in Speed Racer. But I will say right now, this is who would win in a battle. And the cars will definitely be involved, but we're not doing a race across the moon or whatever happens in later Speed Racer. We at the someday have to defeat the other one. And that's where Dom Toretto clearly is the better choice. This is a man who escaped prison twice. He just gets out. As soon as he gets to a car, he's gone. He stomped his foot in a battle against Jason Statham's Deckard Shaw on the second floor of a parking garage and collapsed the entire roof through use of his Thunder Stomp. Outrageous. And he has big fight wins against everyone else in the Fast and Furious series, a cavalcade of exotic and interesting characters who all have great combat training. You got Brian O'Connor. He's a trained undercover agent from one of the earlier films, obviously, member of the family. Luke Hobbs, who, as we know, I don't need to say anything more about Luke Hobbs. He is The Rock. It doesn't matter what his name is. That's The Rock he's fighting in the form of Luke Hobbs. He fought Owen Shaw multiple times. Owen Shaw is a special ops soldier, and an absolutely brilliant one at that. Doesn't matter. He also defeated Deckard Shaw multiple times. Deckard Shaw would be the Jason Statham. And the character, not that it matters, is a trained special forces agent and an assassin, probably a gourmet chef too. Fast and Furious doesn't care, so why should I? He also has beaten his own brother, Jacob Toretto, played brilliantly by one John Cena. So the fact that he could even see his brother was a miracle in itself. To deliver the beatdown afterwards, just icing on the cake. And who I know you've just told me, but who has Speed Racer really beaten in a fight at the end of the day? Skullduggery? That's a great name. Was it AC Ducey? Was that the guy's name? Absolute phenomenal. But I don't think these guys are on the level of John Cena, The Rock, and Jason Statham in an action movie. You don't win those fights unless you're Dom bleeping Toretto. And then you do win those fights, and you win them handily. But he also is a mastermind, not just a great fighter. He's a mastermind, long-term and short-term strategic planning. This is a guy who's pulled off some of the greatest heists. Who can forget when they pulled a safe on chains down the streets of New York City or wherever they were, and then they swapped it under that bridge, and nobody knew what was coming. I still watch that movie, and I'm surprised at the end, and I've seen it like 5 times. That's how smart Dominic Toretto is. He's going to beat me in moments I already know are coming. And he takes big risks constantly that always pay off. Don't tell him the odds. You can't predict what he's going to do because it doesn't adhere to reality. That's what makes him so amazing. And lest I have to say it at least one time, Dom has the true power of family.
And it's time for your third and final counterpoint. Kiff, 1 minute on the clock starting now.
Not only has Speed Racer defeated Ace Ducey in Skullduggery, but also Snake Oiler, Cluncher Block, Tongue Blaggart. He's defeated General Ali and Prince Kabbalah and Bent Cranium and Dr. McFife and a variety of other assassins, gamblers, corrupt racers, and saboteurs. And I'll tell you something else. He would defeat Dom Toretto, and here's how. With his absolute dominance in judo, fisticuffs, his ability to make his moves from his vehicle, the superior power of his vehicle, and its ability to not only outspeed, but outmaneuver what Dom Toretto's capable of doing with whatever vehicle he can get his hands on. Sure, he's got speed. Sure, he's got power and the ability to plan, but Speed has got heart, and heart will win power and planning every day of the week.
All right, and as always, Ray has not had counterpoints throughout the show, but he does get a final thought whenever you're ready, Ray.
This battle is what the Who Would Win Masters show is all about. This is the episode I would send to the Webby Awards in order to sweep through every category, including ones that we would not be even thought about for. You know, best documentary about fish. Doesn't matter. We would win that too. Dominic Toretto versus Speed Racer. 2 absolutely fantastic vehicles. I'm sure the people at home didn't realize that Dom's vehicles go way faster than Speed Racer's. You wouldn't think so. And I would think that this battle would start with both of them in their cars, and they would be driving at each other. Dominic does not play chicken. He hits you if he has to. But Speed Racer would press one of his buttons probably and bounce up over the top of him. And that's the thing. I think Dominic Toretto would do a better job using the area around him to bring like a tower down on Speed Racer or something to that effect. Or at the very least, a move I could see happening is Dominic Toretto and Speed Racer are driving side by side, and Dom just literally elbows the door off his vehicle, jumps onto the Mach 5, and pulls Speed Racer out of the cockpit as both cars smash into walls or the ocean or a Carl's Jr. It doesn't matter. And they would have to fight on the ground, and this is where Dominic Toretto absolutely wins this fight. I appreciate the judo background. That's something that I learned in this. I didn't know that he knew one of the martialist of arts. But at the same time, flips and throws aren't going to work against a guy who could just grab you and then throw you 50 feet in the air. Maybe not 50, but a good 15, 16, 17 feet. Dominic Toretto would do that. And I think at the end of the day, Dominic Toretto against a smaller, agile, but definitely not as durable character as Speed Racer. And once he has to get his hands on him, or once he does get his hands on him, that's going to be all she wrote for Mr. Speed. And now we just, I'm sorry. Now Sam has to do his bit before we take a quick break.
I get to say a thing before we take a break.
That's right.
Well done, gentlemen. We hit a lot of twists and turns on this debate. I've got to pump the brakes on this, and I will be back with my decision after this.
All right.
All right.
Two figures met in collision. Now let's find out who would win. It's time to hear Sam's decision.
First off, I want to thank the Academy, all the people that got us here, my mom, my dad. Sorry, guys, I was just practicing for the Webby Award. Look, I ought to know better. But as always, this took off like a shot and only accelerated in each of the points. Coming out of the gate, we have Speed's excellent abilities as a driver, ability to anticipate traps, terrain, sabotage, and then an almost tuned force ability to jump from car to motorcycle to motorcycle to motorcycle to boat and back and win a race. But then we have Dom Toretto collapsing a parking structure with his own brute strength. Does Dom also have some kind of tuned force happening? Shifting gears, this clearly starts as a car battle, as Ray said. Whether you call it car fu or whatever version of physics Dom is using, the Mach 5 has a ton of buttons that Kif miraculously was able to list somehow in such a short span of time, and Speed can keep evading Dom for quite some time, but ultimately, neither of our drivers are going to pull off like a Spy Hunter Mad Max move that ends the other, and we're going to end up in hand-to-hand combat and face off. While I'm not trying to tell Dom the odds, Ray set up a great picture with a path to victory, but I wonder if a man that created the word family, like Dom, staring down the visor of a teenager, would hold back just a little. But look, that was probably a counterpoint that should have been made, so I'll park that. I can go back and forth in this debate forever, but before everyone is tired and exhausted, I'll wrap it up so nobody's getting driven crazy. I do think that Dom could overpower Speed Racer in an all-out brawl, kung fu, car fu, or otherwise. And he's going to have to think about what he's done for some time. Sad. But I am going to give this to Ray and Dominic Toretto. Now remember, I am just one voice in this. This will go to the community on our Patreon to make the final vote. So make sure you sign up at patreon.com/whowouldwinmasters. Kif, this was amazingly done. And yeah, I went back and forth on this decision quite a bit. Do you have any final thoughts?
I mean, I'm very disappointed. I understand your decision. Felt that if there's, when you are a heart-centered, optimistic, open-hearted, non-cynical hero like Speed Racer, I gotta believe that he would look at Dom Toretto in the eye as he's using his thunder stomp to collapse a parking structure, and Speed would take off his helmet and say, Dom, think about your family.
I mean, the movie writes
And
itself, yes.
It does. And at which point Dom would say, hey, Speed, why don't you come over for some fried chicken and waffles and some of Letty's empanadas.
I do believe at the end of this movie,
yes.
both of them have Coronas and they are cheersing each other.
I agree. I think I don't know. Going into this thing, I saw draw all over, and I'm fairly certain that Speed would let Dom drive the Mach 5.
If Dom Toretto in the Mach 5, no one could stop him. He'd be on the moon.
That would be fantastic.
He probably would. He'd put Nas in the jump jacks, but then Speed would get a hold of that nuclear submarine and follow him all the way there with Chim Chim and Spritle in the trunk.
I love the picture we're painting right now. And look,
me too.
I got such respect for Speed Racer and for the job you did in the debate today. I do agree with Sam's decision. I hope the people on Patreon are behind the family and will vote accordingly. But I just wanted to say, during the Sam's decision song, you pulled up, was that a Speed Racer floor mat?
It was a rug.
It was a rug.
I made last Christmas. It was a gift from my wife to get to go to Tutu Fun at the Westfield Mall in here in lovely Sherman Oaks, and they have like tufting and I made a Speed Racer rug. I also have a Speed Racer desk mat that I just got that I'll show you to replace. I'd never had a mouse pad, but I went in and made this.
See, it's brilliant.
Nice.
Yep, there you go.
Brilliant. See, and those who know me know that I'm a big fan of miniatures. I worked in that industry for a very long time. So this is one of my most prized collection. This would be the Fast and Furious house.
Nice. Of course.
With Dom Toretto. So the fact that this has been staring at me the entire battle, the very special miniature model of Dom Toretto's house with the car parked right out front, I couldn't let him down today. So people at home, don't let me down. Get on patreon.com/who-would-win-masters. Vote your conscience, vote your heart, vote your family with Dom Toretto.
Yeah.
With Speed Racer. There's still hope. There's still hope. He deserves more.
It's happened before.
Good.
Yeah. You know what I want to see come out of this is the Dom Toretto Chim Chim montage. I think that's what we all deserve. Kif, do you want to tell people where they can find you? Yeah. Go ahead,
sure. I'm on. I thought it would be a wild twist if Dom revealed that he was actually Rex Racer and not Racer X. You know, Pops be like, anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. So you can find me on socials. I am primarily on Instagram at KIFVH. That's 2 F's, KIFFVH. And my website is kifvh.com. If you're interested in voiceover coaching or audition coaching or just finding out more about that world or anything, I do coaching. I'm also getting ready to teach improv for voiceover class over at Kalmanson and Kalmanson, and I teach a wide variety of stuff. So if voiceover is something that you're interested in doing, I work in animation, anime, dubbing, on camera work as well. So feel free to check out my demo reels, and if you have questions, hit me up.
Awesome, and thank you.
This is an amazing thing. We would say normally go and support this performer. But with Kif, we don't have to because he's already in all the movies you're seeing.
Go see Super Mario Galaxy.
There it is.
And Superman, Fantastic
Four, Superman.
Wicked,
what are we doing? That's outrageous. I'm so happy for you to have all this success.
Yeah, thanks,
I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, absolutely. Go support Kif by seeing all the movies you're going to see anyway. Perfect.
Nice. Ray, any last words before we wrap this up?
I had some, but I was so excited about that last thing I said that I mostly forgot about them. This to me is a highlight battle in Who Would Win Masters history. I love me some Fast and Furious. I love me some Speed Racer. Me and Speed go back a very, very long time. I've got great respect for him, the Mach 5, the whole crew, the character, and the whole deal. And so I'm just tickled that we got to do this episode today, and I got to do it with Kif, who, my goodness, legend of the industry. I'll say it. Legend of the voiceover and acting industry. And I remember the thing I was going to say, you know what movie you saw him in that you don't know that you saw him in was Batman versus Superman. He plays one of the two cops at the beginning.
Nice.
And he's amazing. I howled with joy when I saw that movie the first time because I did not know it was coming. And I go, crap, that's Kif. And what an absolute delight. So go back and rewatch that scene again. We all have DVD. Who are we
watch
kidding?
the extended cut because there was stuff cut out of our scene in the theatrical cut.
Nice.
So we're watching the Watchmen call out where we're watching the football game and in the squad car, which we shot up in Pontiac, and we're just watching Gotham just get lambasted by Metropolis on this football game. There's like 8 seconds left in the game, and Metropolis should just take a knee, and they go for it, and they beat Gotham even worse than they were already. It was a blast. Zack Snyder.
Why'd you go for 2? Because I couldn't go for 3.
That's right.
That's how we feel about Gotham City's football team.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely. I love it so much. And
awesome, man.
Absolutely. Everybody go do that. And also, I'd be remiss to saying it, Reclaim Detroit, a Vampire the Masquerade audio drama. New episodes are still being worked on. Kif plays Prince McMasters, Prince of Detroit, in the show. He's in many episodes. And here he is for us today. Kif, I really appreciate you coming on. We'll see you at the wrap-up.
Boys, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to come play Who Would Win. What a blast.
Excellent. We'll be back on the wrap-up episode in 1 week where we're going to reveal your votes. We'll read your comments and react to them. And if you have more to say, you can follow us. Jump over on our Discord, the Who Would Win Masters Discord, which you can find pinned as a post on the Patreon, where the official poll for this battle will be. And you can find that at patreon.com/whowouldwinmasters. And if you think you've got what it takes to step into the challenger's chair, record a 1-minute video demo of yourself, send it to whowouldwinmasters@gmail.com. And who knows, we might see you in the chair across from Ray in a future episode. Who Would Win Masters? This is Sam Proof. Stay strong.